Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate your testimony. And just very, very quickly for Mr. Pocan's education, is professional wrestling a business?
Sir, it very definitely is a business.
So you ran a business, okay, just so that you're aware of that. Anyway, let me ask you a couple of questions. I don't disagree with what my colleagues on the right have been saying. I agree with what Mr. Elsey said. Education, and I have no problem with trying to move much of this education back to the states. I had a couple of superintendents tell me a couple of years ago that their problem was they got 5% of their funding from the federal government and 95% of the rules came from the federal government. But there are some successful programs that we want to maintain. You said in your statement that you encouraged all of your children to go to post-secondary school, that they needed to continue their education to be successful. You said that you evaluated and looked at these programs and wanted to get rid of those that were ineffective. And in the skinny budget, you specifically said, TRIO and Gear Up are a relic of the past when financial incentives were needed to motivate institutions of higher education to engage with low-income students and increase access. I'd like to see some of those studies and evaluations because every one that I've seen says it's one of the most effective programs ever. In fact, when we had Secretary Spelling here 20 years ago, they tried to put all these programs together and just send them out to the states. She said they had studies that showed that they were not a very effective program. And I asked her for a copy of those studies. It's 20 years ago. I'm still waiting because there are no studies out there that show that it is ineffective. It is one of the most effective programs in the federal government. These are for, one of the best programs in the history of education and most meaningful has probably been the GI Bill. We took veterans from World War II and gave them opportunities to go to college. This is the GI Bill for low-income minority communities, and it's supported by many, many members of Congress. We have about 800,000 low-income potential first-generation college graduates. And I don't know if you've ever gone and talked to any of these students. These are people that had never thought of going to college because nobody in their family nobody in their community have ever done that. We got a problem in Indian Health Services trying to get doctors and dentists to go out on reservations. The only way you're going to educate, the only way you're going to do that and solve that problem is when Native American children go to college, go on to medical school, go on to dental school, and come back to their reservation to serve their people. That's how you're going to solve it in the long run. So can you speak to me how the department arrived at this funding level and how you plan to ensure that TRIO remains accessible to the students who rely upon it?
Well, thank you very much. And I understand that there are many services that are served. I mean, TRIO started out as 3 programs. It's now about 8. And it first started when there were first generation of students who were going to college for the first time. And I agree with you. There are a lot of parts of TRIO that talked about those students and what their possibilities could be and interested them. I did see in one example, TRIO recently, that one child was brought on board and talked about going to college, but part of the TRIO program was taking them to Disney World at that time. So I'm not sure that all the expenses in TRIO should be there. I think TRIO, those monies are going to be going out, for this program for this year. So we are looking at all of the programs. The need for TRIO, I don't think, is nearly as strong because there are outreaches from colleges now into local communities, and there should be more of the universities and secondary education levels reaching into those communities. They should be talking to them about college, but I think they should also be talking to them about other ways that they could have skills, that they could support, whether it's the tribal nations that you were talking about or whether it's their community. As I mentioned a little earlier, it might have been before you came in, that I think we need to reimagine and look at education differently in our country. That I think we need more work-based projects, teaching in our middle schools and high schools to prepare people to get into the economy. I mean, we kind of made, we focused on college and degrees and we kind of made trade skills hey, that's something that you go into if you can't really make it at college. We need this workforce.
Yes, we do.
We need this workforce, so let's train a lot of those different kind of programs. Let's give them skills that can make it available for them to go to work right away and be in the economy. And maybe they will also put themselves through
Before you
school.
eliminate
So I-
TRIO,
so I
though,
think-
I need to see what those programs are that you're proposing that we're going to change them to, because
happy to
this
get
is the
back to
most
you.
important program for low-income people who had never thought of any, you know, you gave the example of one individual out of 800,000. The program is highly successful. I'd like to say other government programs could learn from this program, frankly. And I would like to know, if we're going to change it, how it's going to change and how we're still going to have access to those kids. And I understand that the department has not yet released the continuation awards for the TRIO Upward Bound program, even though those grants expired on May 31st. Could you tell us where we are on those awards?
Yeah, I believe that they will be going up by July 1. I think that is correct. If it's not, I will get back to you.
Thank you.